Good evening. I'm calling to order the Columbia County Board of Commissioners December 17th, 2024 meeting to order. Bow your heads, we'll open with invocation. Most gracious Father, we just lift up all praise, honor, and glory to you. Thank you for who you are. We thank you for the many blessings you bestowed on Columbia County and the greater CSRA region. Father, we're thankful for the season, thankful for Christmas, your Son. Father, I want to lift up all those folks who work on Christmas Day, firemen, ambulance services, the sheriff's deputies, Father, all those folks who protect us. Pray that you'd be with them, be with our families, and give us peace this holiday. In Christ's name I pray, amen. Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show we have a full quorum of commissioners. Commissioners, you have the minutes from the December 3rd, 2024 meeting in your packet. If you've had a chance to review them, I'll accept a motion to approve them.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve them as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, raise your right hand. Minutes are approved. Mr. Johnson, any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chairman, it's ready for your approval.
Very good. It is approved. Welcome to the last meeting of 2024. I know we have a presentation, Bill Jackson Jr. and Donna Anderson, Save the Columns Fund. Please come on down.
Chairman, staff, we really appreciate y'all. Appreciate your time that you put in. Take care of our county. Donna and myself, my dad, Michael Johnson, principal at Evans Middle School, 06, property sold, where Home Depot is now, put together a team and we just worked to save the columns out front of that school. They're now behind the library and park back there. I want to give a little bit of history on them. The columns, well, Evans School was built in 1927, excuse me. So we're 2 years from a 100-year anniversary of Evans High School, which many of us went to. In the Depression in the 30s, Roosevelt put together a thing called a WPA, which was a Work Progress Administration. And what it did, it went around and created projects to help infuse funds back into the communities. And back then, there was a gentleman named Harry Hennis, in Evans, lived in Evans, born and raised in Evans, and they tasked him with the project, and it was to build the columns. They were built around 1938 in front. So in 2005, when the school was sold, we felt like that'd be something that would really be part of history that we could save. So our team put together a thing which we got bids from all kind of prices that were just we wasn't gonna be able to do it. So many of you know my dad, and when he gets an idea of what he's going to do, he's going to get it done. So he put together and decided we're going to move the columns ourselves. So him and friends, like bulldozer folks and backhoe guys, the welder, Deke Tankersley, came together and came up with a plan to move those columns. And to move them, really crazy, we had to dig them out, had to weld braces around them, and then hired a crane company to work with the commission at that time to come out where to place them. So that Saturday morning, this 75,000-ton crane to be there at 7:30 that morning, it wasn't enough to move that middle column. That middle column was 96,000 pounds, 96 tons. But took 2 cranes to get it on the low board and move it. But we had the hole dug, and if you kind of look at like that picture, that base is fungus. Anyway, that's where we got moved. During that time, we had started raising money and trying to have the money to fund what we needed to. And over the years, that money's just been sitting in a fund, waiting for something. And last year, got put on the Historic Preservation Committee that Bill Butler heads over there, some of the folks over here in the corner. And I remembered about that money. So Donna, who was on this committee and running the money, they won't let me touch the money. They just handle the money. So I asked her, and we felt like, that coming in the future in the facility, the arts, performing arts facility, there's a possibility of us having a museum. So we felt like no better place for us to do is to petition the money, maybe tag it for the historic preservation or whatever that would go, so we could get seated. That's kind of why we're here. Donna, if you tell them how much money we got.
$7,000. Our honor to donate.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much. It'll be used. Commissioners, you have the consent agenda in front of you. The item on this agenda has been through the necessary committee and received the necessary votes to be placed on this committee. So if they still meet with your approval, I'll accept a motion to approve them all.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the consent agenda items as presented. Second.
Questions? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. On to the debate.
Yes, sir. I make a motion to accept the donation in the amount of $2,700 for the Senior Center Holiday Social.
Second.
Any questions? Motion on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand.
I make a motion to approve the first reading of Resolution 24-48, Evans Market Vendor Fees.
Second.
Any discussion? I know, Matt, you want to, Glenn?
Yes, sir. This is just the establishment of, actually an alteration of the vendor fees for the market area. It has there's another action, which is the Evans Market Vendor Rules and Regulations. That was on the consent agenda. But what it does is, because of the growth and the popularity of vendors wanting to participate in our events, establishes additional fees so that it differentiates between people in the market versus outside the market. It gives us a greater ability to accommodate.
Any other questions? The motion and second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Vice Chairman.
Make a motion to approve the independent contractor agreement with Laura Moore as Accountability Court Judicial Assistant.
Second. So it's just a contract with this independent contractor here for Accountability Court. They have done this in the past. It's at a rate of $250 per day, not to exceed 1 day per month. I believe on the backup sheet there, it talks about this beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025. But there is, if you look at the actual agreement itself, they're asking that this begin on January 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2025. Anyway, staff recommends approval on this. It's not go to committee.
Questions? Favor, raise your right hand. Carries.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of 5 Ford Explorers from Gerald Jones Ford at a cost of $209,960 for the sheriff's office.
Second.
This is another item that came to us late, so therefore it did not go to committee. The board actually approved that these vehicles be purchased from the Sourcewell contract holder, but unfortunately, the window had already closed, so we could not make these purchase of these vehicles, so we started looking for options. We found some options in Ford Explorers as opposed to Chevrolet Traverses. We did get a quote that's a little bit lower than the quote you have here, but the issue that we have there is they can't get those vehicles for 4 to 5 months. We do have a dealer in town that has the vehicles for the amount that you're approving now, the $209,960. The budget was $210,000, so it's still under budget. But it allows us to be able to purchase the vehicles now, which is the sheriff's recommendation.
Questions? Motion is second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Carries. On to you, Commissioner Skinner.
Yes, sir. At file RZ 241201, I make a motion to approve the request for the rezoning from C1 to C2 for a proposed outdoor retail supply store for property located at tax map 071A, parcel 047.
Second.
This is a request for C1 to C2. The move from C1 to C2 is to accommodate outdoor display. Currently, you have to have C2 zoning to have outdoor display. This is about a 22,000 square foot store and about 18,000 square foot of outdoor display for Tractor Supply. Have to answer any questions you may have about this one.
Questions? The motion is second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Carries. Have a couple of people asking to speak on this next one. Wright McLeod, come on down.
I've got a substitute.
Come on down. Substitute. Say your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I'm Brooks Blumenthal, president of Westlake Property Owners Association. I second what the first speaker said, and we appreciate everything y'all do for the county. Just wanted to speak on behalf of Westlake regarding this request. On our side of, or the neighborhood side of Evans DeLotte Road, there is no R2 properties zoned. Any R2 properties will be on the other side of the street, Evans DeLotte Road, and so.
Those aren't in Westlake?
Sir?
It is R2. You're talking about R1
There's
property.
no
Yeah, the R1, sorry, R2 is everything on our side of the road is R2. So I'm not sure, other than trying to get an approval for a higher wall on the side that we are on, which is, I think, the primary reason for request a rezone. I'm not sure why we couldn't, or the commission couldn't possibly just issue a variance as opposed to zoning the actual property. It'd be spot rezone. So I just want to speak on behalf of the neighborhood, that the neighborhood, not for getting one property rezoned. This is more of a, something was built that didn't meet the standards for the property that it was zoned for, and now after the fact, we're coming back and making a zone it. If it has some, if it's just to do with the retaining wall height or the perimeter wall height, I would ask the commission that are maybe doing a variance just for the wall height as opposed to redoing zoning of the property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Huguenin.
Letting us come tonight. David Huguenin, 1064 Peninsula Crossing, representing Mr. and Ms. Patel. I think y'all are familiar with this. They have requested to rezone from R2 to R1. Their lot is unusual in that it is outside the gated area of Westlake. On Evans to Locks Road, if I had to guess, I haven't counted them, but there's probably 10 or 12 lots that are more appropriate for R1. In other words, they're acreage lots and they're not connected to sewer as R2 requires. There's other subdivisions that have multiple zoning. Westlake is one of them. Rhodes Farm, they have lots that are R2 and R1. Windmill Plantation, they have multiple zoning within that subdivision. There are other issues. I know that Westlake had concerns, and my understanding, those have been resolved. I can go through that, but I don't think that's why we're here tonight. The remaining issue is the wall. In certain areas, there's a couple of columns that are over 8 feet. The agreement is if it is rezoned within 60 days, those columns will be reduced down to 8 feet. I think they're 9 feet. They'll be reduced to 8 feet. And again, R2 requires lots to be connected to sewer. These dozen lots, 10 or 12 lots aren't. They should have been R1 to start with. We just asked for your.
Mr. Huguenin, how many other lots inside Westlake are R1?
Or R1, I'm not certain. Right, Mike?
I don't believe any. There's some R3, there's some PUD, there's R2, oh,
Yeah,
2 and 3, and
Westlake has R2 PUD. Rhodes Farm has R1 and R2. And Windmill has RA and PUD. There are other subdivisions. This is,
But in Westlake, there's not, I couldn't find any other R1s, am I correct?
they're not, but
There
there's,
there is none. So.
And when you were speaking, you said the agreement is, what agreement were you referring to?
well, I think, give me the conditions. In other words, planning and zoning, they've made a recommendation and their conditions. I apologize.
Okay, I just want to make sure there wasn't something
sure,
something
no.
else that I wasn't
Absolutely.
privy to. That's all the questions I have, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more speakers, Mr. Chair. This is file RZ 241203. I make a motion to disapprove the request for the rezoning from R2 to R1 for property located at tax map 081B, parcel 370.
Second.
Any other discussion? Motion in favor on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Carries. Still up, sir.
Okay, sir. This is file RZ 241204. I make a motion to approve the request for the major PUD revision for massage for property located at tax map 082D, parcel 068.
Second.
this is a PUD zoning. Massage currently is not an authorized use. They're asking to have this added to their PUD narrative. Currently, this building has 4 suites. I believe Suite C is the vacant one. I'm assuming that might be the one that this massage business would go with. Not confident on that, but happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Motion and second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Okay, sir. Next file is VA 241201. I make a motion to approve the request for the variance to section 90-135 for property located at tax map 082D, parcel 039, to increase the miscellaneous wall sign allowance to 134 square feet.
Second.
So they've done a recent remodel here. They've got their principal sign, the Milton Rubin sign, already installed. That is not part of this discussion tonight. However, it does kind of weigh in on the factors here. The principal wall sign is 36 square feet. Code allows up to 156 square feet. Miscellaneous wall signs, the one you see shown here up top, are 134 square feet west, and our code allows 55 square feet. So allowable between the principal and the miscellaneous is 211 by code. What they're asking for is 170. They're just they're making the miscellaneous larger and the principal smaller, but they're still under the overall sign code allowance. They are required to have these on their building by contract with the manufacturer.
It's under the total requirement of the
It
ordinance.
is under the total allowable signs. If they made Milton Rubin much larger and made the other one smaller, but in this case, they're asking to make the other ones larger and the Milton Rubin
Just
smaller.
reversed it. Yep.
Questions? Motion and second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Sir, Mr. Chair, we have file VA 241202. I make a motion to approve the request for a variance to section 90-53 for property located at tax map 058, parcel 022, to decrease the rear setback, subject to the condition enumerated in the December 5th, 2024 Planning Commission report.
Second.
This piece of property actually does not front any public road, so all lot lines are considered rear-facing lot lines, so their setbacks on all four sides of their property, 25 feet. Currently, they're at 25 feet, but they're looking to expand. If they were to expand to this side, they got to redo all their utilities. If they were to expand to the rear, they would get into their septic system, so their option to expand is to the plan west here, which also makes sense with the way their current house is laid out. To do so, they're immediately going to enter into that side setback. So they're asking to go down 25 feet side setback to it's a rear setback currently, to a 5-foot rear setback. The neighboring property does support this request.
Questions? Motion and second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Carries.
Mr. Chair, I have one more. This is my last motion for this committee. File VA 241203. I make a motion to approve the request for a variance to section 90-53 for property located at tax map 072D, parcel 019, to reduce the front building setback to 40 feet from the center line of Holly Hill Road.
Second.
Here you have a residence looking to vary from 65-foot setback to a 42-foot setback to allow expansion of their home. One where we received a submittal that was denied, and then we received a submittal that was approved. This was many years ago. Unfortunately, it was built to the denied plans. Now they're looking to expand. We can't approve it unless y'all approve the reduction in front setback. The house does actually line up with its neighboring houses, so it actually fits the neighborhood. This request does follow the way every other house is built. Staff recommend approval.
Questions? Motion and second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Carries. No legal matters, and I see no requests for review by committee. We're at the public comments and participation section. I have a couple of folks who want to speak, but before they speak, I want to make a statement about what's been bouncing around about incorporation. Over the last few months, the subject of incorporation and consolidation for Columbia County has been discussed in the news and on social media. While this idea has been around for a while, the County Commission has not made a decision as to whether or not we should pursue this. As commissioners, it's important for us to understand the facts, provide transparency of those facts to the public, and receive public input on both sides of the issue. Ultimately, the public would have to vote to approve this initiative. I can assure you that such an important matter as incorporation consolidation will never move forward without those following steps. Incorporation and consolidation is a very complex issue. To date, the only efforts the county has made to investigate this is the funding of a feasibility study that is required by law before the next step could be taken. I understand that there are many people in the community feel the decision has already been made. Nothing could be further from the truth. There are benefits to Columbia County, there are benefits that Columbia County would realize if we incorporated and consolidated. There are also cons associated with this move. I'm announcing tonight that this commission is not moving forward with incorporation and consolidation at this time. I have been assured that our local delegation will not move forward with any legislation concerning this matter without following the process above and a vote by the county commission. While incorporation and consolidation may possibly benefit the citizens of Columbia County in the future, it is something that must be thoroughly vetted, and that takes time. I sincerely hope this puts everyone's minds at ease, and I pray that all of you have a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Bear with me. Blaine Carter. And if you'll just state your name and address for the record.
Carter, I live at 861 Deerwood Circle. You basically just answered my questions. So I just say I appreciate it that y'all are taking a little bit more time to investigate it. Based on what I know on my investigation, I don't see it as a totally positive thing because I do see an increased cost coming for every citizen that lives here due to those benefits being outweighed by the cost given back to the owner through the franchise companies that are franchise fees. And concern, but anyway, I just want to say thank you, appreciate it. Hope you all have Christmas.
Mike Gurley.
I'll come back next.
Okay. M. Bargeron. You can state your name and address for the record.
Of course I
Priority
can.
have you.
Just going to go by M. No, I'm kidding. It's Marlena Bergeron, 2545 Willow Creek Court. That's in Evans. I want to thank you all for this opportunity to speak, for being here tonight, for your intrepid leadership throughout the year, because boy, it has been a year. I wanted to formally thank Scott, our county administrator, really gave us important, relevant, timely information in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. When we did have internet access, seeing his Facebook posts were really comforting and helping for us to assess not only what happened at our house, but everywhere else across the county, and to be patient for the process. I also wanted to formally thank Scott for siding with the pollinators as well as the pocketbook by not fogging the area, even though those tiger mosquitoes were vicious. It was in the county's best interest to not waste money and to devastate a population of future pollinators. So thank you for that. I also want to take some time for some tough love assessments. This past year has brought a lot of interesting things to light. I wanted to be here because it was on the consent agenda, but nobody asked me if it was okay to dissolve the Green Space Advisory Board. It was a joy to be Jane Public on the advisory board when we were drafting the plans for the Uchee Creek Greenway. I thought that the 20% land and conservation green space goal was one of the county's best initiatives. I'm sorry to see this committee sunsetted. I know they've been sort of not meeting and defunct already, but to see it formally disbanded and dissolved, it is a disappointment. I'm not going to lie. I think going through the proposal to the Vision 2035 to see things like the conservation area, the green space in the northwest part of the county where there is a significant groundwater recharge area and development pressure due to proximity to Clarks Hill Lake. At the time of the Vision 2035, the acreage was at 0. And so I guess it'll remain that. So it's all on us, grassroots efforts to conserve what's important. I also want to say that I hope the Vision 2035 new comprehensive plan steering committee appointments, I saw some usual suspects on that list. Is Russell Andrew Wilder here tonight? That's too bad. He's good. He's got corporate knowledge. He keeps our streets safe, especially from feisty 410 premenopausal moms like me. He also has the experience on the Green Space Advisory Board as well as the Library Board. So I'm hoping that he'll take those public comments and some of these initiatives into the next phase. The last thing I want to talk about is the library guidelines. I was volunteering last Tuesday. I was not able to attend the meeting. And I want to say that, you know, some of your words, when I served on the library, the Columbia County came up with the Library Bill of Rights. Item 2 said materials should not be prescribed or removed because of partisan or doctrinal disapproval. I think our guidelines, now that they've passed, have sort of overstepped some of these Library Bill of Rights. I also want to use Russell Wilder's words, because I think he was on the money. Now that we have guidelines passed that add this extra layer of censorship, you know, some people celebrated moving books 20 feet from their location or moving them to a second lower floor. But it sort of put our library into a nanny state mode. I don't think our county is more pious or more devout than Lincoln or McDuffie, but somehow we've added this extra layer of guidelines that our regional area is not adopting. Russell said that I will strongly advocate that the parents are responsible for what their children do. And we serve the public. It's a public library. It's not an ecclesiastical library. It's not a partisan Republicans-only library. It is a public library. It shouldn't matter what my religion or my party affiliation is when I walk in the library. Russell says that the public needs to be able to access the library and that it is parents' responsibility to review materials that their child wants to check out. I'm sorry that these guidelines were passed. They seem to abandon some of these core principles. And I'm going to just take this time to say that while some people were celebrating the guidelines, I can personally say that for the past 2 years, I know what it's like to have been at those library meetings where all of our time was hijacked for less than 1% of the books. There are 95,000 adult books in ours. We are so lucky to have. There are 58,000 children and YA young adult books. The fact that there were enough people who were interested in removing and relocating less than 1% of the books, and that it consumed all our time, to me, was a misallocation of resources. If we really want to keep kids safe, it's not going to be because we hide their books in the adult section. It's going to be because we work together to do things like put a 3-point harness seatbelt on our buses. Or it's going to be because we work together to reduce plastic bags because there are microplastics in the rain and in snowflakes. And those plastics are going to interfere with their reproductive cycles because they're endocrine disrupting chemicals in them. So I think there are other initiatives that are worth our time. I don't think that moving the books is really what this county needed to spend its time on. So, and in the aftermath, I also want to say that our library director is gone. Our staff is demoralized because they have to implement guidelines that were created by, I'm sure, well-intended, but only 4 people that may or may not represent the whole county. Dr. and Mr. Caraway among them, and Ms. Couch among them. And I don't know that not consulting librarians in the process of recataloging books so that they are in sync with the whole system is the way we want to go. I just want to wrap it up by saying I am disheartened that our books are now 3 to 6 months behind. And now that I've spent so much money at our house on tree removal and house improvements and renovations after storm damage, that getting access to free and timely books is even more important to all of us. I'd like to quote one of my favorite authors as well as the Bible, and I'll end with that. Thank you so much for this time. Robin Hall Kimmerer, she's a wonderful author of our time, a Native American, and she said, we say a pledge to the flag. That was a wonderful prayer, and we followed it with a pledge. When we make that pledge to the flag, aren't we also making a promise to the land? And aren't we also making a promise to the people? I think what really bothered me when I heard that people were celebrating after those guidelines were passed is that I know people who were upset. I know parents who cried because they felt like their kids who were going through some identity discoveries were targeted. That makes me sad. That makes me upset. Because I don't think it's political, I don't think it's religious, I think it's bullying. And it makes me upset because I think we make that promise to the land and we make that promise to each other to look out for each other. So let's try to do that. I'm going to end with Galatians chapter 3, verse 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with the Bible verse. Thank you for your time.
Oh, good deal. On to the executive session. We have a couple of items. Commissioner Malier.
Yes, sir. I have a couple for us tonight. I make a motion to approve the employee agreement for Harold Sparrow, Michael Murphy, Shelley Blackburn, Ashley Swain, Cheney Eldridge, Anita Patel, Stuart Hillsman, Linda Peplaw, Stephen Prather, Ashlyn Bedgood, Zachary Allen, and Cameron Day.
Second.
These are just the employee contracts that are outside of the division director contracts. These are specialized contract employees, and it requires the commission to take action on them each year.
Questions? Motion and second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Carries.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve moving position number 219 and position number 9833 to the general fund to be effective pay period ending December 28th, 2024.
Second.
This is a request from the district attorney to move two positions. One is currently being funded out of ARPA. The other one is funded out of the district attorney's supplemental budget. We're moving both of these to the general fund. I agree with the district attorney that both of these positions are needed, and we'll make the necessary adjustments in the upcoming budget year, but it does require action at this point to move these two positions effective January 1st.
Questions? All in favor, raise your right hand. Carries. Commissioner Caraway, you do have
Two. I make a motion to approve $25,500 to Stephen Day, parcel 073002A, and $25,100 to Sammy and Inez Harani, parcel 072250, and $9,100 to Stephen, parcel 072236, to obtain right-of-way and/or easements for the Hereford Farm Road widening project.
Second.
Continue to move out. We're at 55% with this action.
motion and second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve a settlement agreement with David Biggs, parcel 072A057, for the Hereford Farm Road widening project.
Second.
It was a condemnation that went to mediation, and an agreement was made during mediation to settle that.
Very good. Questions? Motion second on the floor. All in favor, raise your right hand. Carries. We have one more thing to do before adjournment. Ask Donald Skinner and Susan to come down. Darlene. Skinner's last meeting. That works. Don, it's been a pleasure serving with you. You've represented your district well. You will certainly be missed. I know that with Trey coming in, he'll have big shoes to fill, literally. But just want to thank you and thank your family for allowing you to serve. I know it can be a thankless job at times, and sometimes you get pounded on for things and figure out why you're getting pounded. So I just want to thank you, and this is an appreciation from the commission. Please don't be a stranger, and Freddie will assign you to some type of committee that continue the pain.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this to a minimum. I'll thank you, my family, for supporting me. Thank the citizens of Columbia County. It really was an honor to be your serve you. County, the growing pains. I think we've managed it very well. In fact, every one of these commissioners serve together. We are a team. Team is what makes you develop and grow. I thank the administrative staff of this county, makes the county, employees. Without them, we have nothing. So there again, it's been my honor.
Thank you, sir.
It's his birthday.
Oh, and today is his birthday.
Yeah.
I think, Mr. Chairman, I think we should sing.
Higher.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Donald. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
No, you gotta.
No, you gotta sit back down here and vote.
You gotta get it.
Got one more vote.
I was just having so much fun.
Any motions? Now's your last chance to make a motion.
Would you like to?
Oh,
No, I was gonna say historically, the fourth
Yeah, we
district
have
always
that.
makes
We
the
have
motion.
someone that does that.
But I was gonna say, would you please make the motion, sir?
Go ahead,
What too?
go ahead.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hands. We are adjourned.
Very good.